While Manchester City run away with the Premier League title, things are far more complicated at the other end of the table. Half of the division are bracing themselves for a survival scrap between now and May, with only 4 points separating Southampton in 12th and West Brom in 19th. Sportsmail take a look at the 10 clubs most in peril, assessing why they are in trouble and what they need to escape. 1 win in 10 Premier League games did for Paul Clement, and the manager was shown the door this week after almost a year in charge. They last won an away game at Crystal Palace on August 26, and goals are a problem. Swansea are the lowest scorers in the division with 10 and haven't scored more than once in a match since mid-October. Who is to blame? The decision to wait until deadline day before selling Gylfi Sigurdsson looks strange, as there wasn't time to replace his goals. Top scorer Tammy Abraham only has 5 and hasn't netted in his last 9. Wilfried Boney was injured against Everton on Monday. Saturday's home game against Crystal Palace is must-win, with away games at Liverpool and Watford to follow before the New Year's Day visit of Spurs to the Liberty Stadium. Swansea did well in the market last January to help stay up. A striker is top priority, with Liverpool's Danny Ings and Vincent Ababaker of Porto strongly linked. Creativity has also been a problem, and West Brom's Nasser Chadli might be available. But it all depends on who will be at the helm, with Ronald Koeman, Frank de Boer and Chris Wilder among the names touted for the position. West Brom's run of 17 matches without a victory is an unwanted club record. They last won in August, and Gareth Barry's consolation against Manchester United on Sunday was their first goal in 4 matches. Who is to blame? Again, a change of ownership hasn't seemed to work. Former manager Tony Pulis wasn't overly impressed with the work of his Chinese boss Guo Chuenlai and appeared almost relieved to be sacked. However, others will say Pulis's negative style of play didn't help either. Saturday's game at Stoke is the proverbial 6-pointer. Home matches against Everton and Arsenal finish off 2017, and the new year begins with another tense one at West Ham. Like Swansea, goals are needed, with Salomon Rondon, Hal Robson-Kanu and Jay Rodriguez having scored only twice each. Another centre-half could also be on Alan Pardew's radar, with the big clubs sniffing around Northern Ireland's skipper Johnny Evans. 8 defeats in 9 matches tells a pretty demoralising story. Joint top scorer Dwight Gale has 3 goals, all of them in his last 6 matches, but all of them in defeats. Who is to blame? Raffalistas will put the blame squarely on owner Mike Ashley for lack of investment and not selling the club yet, though a deal with Amanda Staveley is said to be close. Having said that, none of Rafa Benitez's signings in the summer have made a real impact. The Toon will be targeting at least 4 points from their 3 remaining games in 2017. Away to West Ham, home to Manchester City, home to Brighton. After that, it's a humdinger at Stoke. Benitez would probably love to sign 6 new players. Experience is important with Newcastle, having one of the youngest squads in the division. It depends on the progress of Staveley's takeover. It always helps when you have information, remarked a frustrated Benitez. Stoke have lost 5 of their last 6 games and conceded 15 goals during that time. They have the worst defensive record in the league and the worst goal difference, which may end up being crucial. Who is to blame? Manager Mark Hughes was an outstanding striker, so it's strange that he's not been able to fill that position properly. Wilfried Boney was a flop on loan last season and Saido Berahino hasn't scored since signing in January. That said, it's their lack of defensive organization that causes real alarm. Although owner Peter Coates is among the most patient in football, Hughes needs to pick up results in their next games against West Brom and Huddersfield. A trip to Chelsea follows that, followed by another 6-pointer at home to Newcastle. What is needed in January? Stoke will try to offload Charlie Adam and Glenn Johnson in January and add another midfielder to either provide creativity or sit with Darren Fletcher so Joe Allen can get further forward. A right back would also be useful. 3 points from a possible 18 have put Eddie Howe's men right back in the danger zone after a 4-0 win against Huddersfield last month had them looking up the table. Who is to blame? With Sean Dyche, Eddie Howe is the brightest English manager about, but his record in the transfer market isn't as good as helping to develop players from within the club. Asmir Begovic and Jermaine Defoe haven't had the desired impact. Neither has £15 million winger Jordan Ibe. After a daunting trip to Manchester City on Saturday, Howe will target consecutive home games against Everton and West Ham and a trip to Brighton to begin 2018. What is needed in January? The Cherries could be quieter than a lot of their relegation rivals. Callum Wilson's return from long-term injury along with Benicafov and Defoe means the goals should come, and they can also bring back Lewis Graben from a loan spell in January if required. The new manager bounce from David Moyes took a little longer than Hammers fans would have wanted, but they've taken 7 points from the last 9 and haven't conceded against Chelsea, Arsenal, and Stoke, who they beat 3-0 away at the weekend. Who is to blame? West Ham often looks like an EastEnders soap opera with joint chairman David Sullivan and David Gold and vice chairman Karen Brady all leading characters. A lack of defensive resilience is being addressed by Moyes. The next 3 games are all against rivals at the bottom: Newcastle, Bournemouth and West Brom. The fixture after that is a Thursday night game against Spurs at Wembley, where they won in the Carabao Cup. What is needed in January? Ideally, Moyes wants creativity within the context of Premier League know-how, with Arsenal's Jack Wilshere a target if he's available. Sporting Lisbon's William Carvalho will be difficult to conclude in January, but a genuine holding midfield player is something Moyes would welcome. Crystal Palace's comeback after losing their first 8 matches is incredible. They are unbeaten in 7 matches under Roy Hodgson, and last weekend's 3-0 win at Leicester was the best result yet. Who is to blame? Chairman Steve Parish would probably acknowledge his management switch from Sam Allardyce to Frank de Boer was too radical. In Hodgson, he's got someone in charge with drive and experience, and he will try to balance a squad that didn't have a fit senior striker when he arrived. Not the easiest for Palace. They will have to get something out of Swansea at the weekend, because it's Arsenal and Manchester City after that, both at Selhurst Park, followed by a trip to Southampton. What is needed in January? With 38-year-old Julian Speroni in goal, Hodgson would be interested in a new keeper because it's a lot to ask the veteran to keep going all season. A striker would also be welcome, though they will have long-term injury Connor Wickham returning. Turkey international Cenk Tosun is in the frame. After an excellent start, reality has hit for newly promoted Brighton. They haven't won in 7, and even more worryingly their only goal in 6 matches came in a 5-1 thrashing by Liverpool. Manager Chris Hughton was left ruing Glenn Murray's penalty miss in Saturday's 0-0 draw with Burnley. Who is to blame? It's always hard for teams coming up from the Championship. Hughton has got Brighton organised and defensively set up, but maybe at the sacrifice of creating chances and scoring goals. It's unlikely Hughton will want to change, but he might have to. It's no exaggeration that more than any other club, these 4 fixtures could make or break the Seagulls. 3 of them are winnable, against Watford, Newcastle, and Bournemouth. If they don't win any, they'll be tipped for the drop. The other game on Boxing Day is a bonus fixture at Chelsea. What is needed in January? Like so many clubs at the bottom, Brighton would take a striker who guarantees them 10 goals between now and the end of the season. Hughton likes Alexander Mitrovic, who is out of favour at Newcastle and is monitoring Calum the Baker of Fiorentina. It was calling for Saints fans to see former manager Claude Puel return to St Mary's a week ago and help Leicester thump his former club 4-1. Southampton have picked up only 2 points from 5 games. Who is to blame? The decision to resist Liverpool's bid to sign Virgil van Dijk may have sapped energy. Mauricio Pellegrino's tactics have been viewed as overly negative, not least from Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola. The next 4 games offer contrasting hopes. Home matches against Huddersfield on Saturday and Crystal Palace are must-wins. The 2 away games sandwiched in between at Tottenham and Manchester United look mightily awkward. What is needed in January? If Southampton do sell Van Dijk, they may want to make a signature signing, although a link with Barcelona's striker Pablo Alcácer would surely be too ambitious. Maybe Middlesbrough's Ben Gibson would be cover for Van Dijk at the back, with plenty of spare money left over. A 4-match losing snap has been ended with David Wagner's Terriers defeating Brighton and Watford in their last 3 games, a home defeat against Chelsea sandwiched in between. Who is to blame? Huddersfield won't be blaming anyone, they have exceeded expectations. Wagner realized early in the summer that players with Premier League know-how would be too expensive for his club, so he's gambled on the likes of Steve Mouney, Johan Lössl and Laurent de Poitre, and it's worked so far. Huddersfield are above their next 2 opponents, Southampton and Stoke, but won't it stay that way if they end up losing both, particularly with Burnley and Leicester City up next? What is needed in January? Wagner will have been happy overall with his squad, but an injury to Elias Kachunga at Watford on Saturday, which could keep him out for 3 months, means the German may ask his chairman to bankroll the signing of another forward.